Pottery 101, trimming a bowl. All right, always remember that you are throwing the inside of the bowl and trimming the outside of the bowl. That way, if you're conscious of how you're throwing it, how thick your bottom is, what you were hoping to do, you will be in a better place when you go to trim. All right, here are my favorite tools. Grab yours. And let's look at this pot. Okay, here we have a pot. It is bottom heavy. It is a little shapeless. We want to take that and turn it into this curvy, sexy, up on tippy toes, foot ring, bowl. Fabulous. Look how thick that is. Dissection. Notice my sides are, my walls are pretty even, a little thick, but even. Notice how the foot ring sits right on there. How, you feel like the walls and the bottom are on the same plane. Outside, how it curves, how everything sits. We have that lovely pot. We started with this lovely pot. Notice the curve. So you want to be conscious of that curve inside, because look at all that clay that we have that supported that curve. We need to get rid of that clay. Get rid of the support. It should be leather hard. It should be ready to go. And we want to create a foot ring that, rises it up and makes it all happy. See? So basically, you have to see the trimmed pot in the untrimmed pot. Keep that in mind as you're trimming. All right, okay. Think about where you want your foot ring. You kind of want it to be where the floor and the wall meets. A little bit in, could be dramatic, a little bit out, a little bit more stable, but you don't want to get too crazy. You want to be on that curve. You want it to feel normal, feel good. Keep that inside curve to look at your outside curve. Let's grab some tools. I like a good rubber rib for smoothing, pin tool for marking. I have a big fan and a little fan trim tool, and then something with a good angle to it. Oh, look at them all. You might have your own favorites. These are my favorites. So now, first thing we need to do, I use a GIFFEN grip. You can use either a living chuck or some LUGS. GIFFEN grip. It just puts it on there. But always keep in mind, you need to be centered by your foot ring, not by the rim of your pot. If it's really flared out, I will just pinch off and get that excess to make my life easier. And you can too. But remember, if you were doing it with LUGS, center your foot ring and then take 2 LUGS and put it down by the side of your pot and push down. Do not push in, that can squish and move your pot. You want to push down so that it hugs. And then you do a 90-degree turn, push down 2 more legs of clay to secure your pot. I'm a GIFFEN grip girl. Let's go for easy. Let's talk about how you hold your tools. Look, a lot of people hold it like you're doing a pen. I tend to kind of hold it straight out with my index finger just at that tip. I like it because I can roll over nicely, and I'm all about the rollover. It's really a matter of comfort. I know you don't want to be way off at the end. It doesn't give you leverage, doesn't give you control. You'll fight your pot. You want to be up towards the top. That's why I like this particular stance, but pencil is good for you. Experiment, decide what feels best for you. But it's all about control. So let's see what control gets you. Dun, dun, dun. You start spinning. Notice there's a little shimmy shimmy. You don't want to go in by the side. Even though you're like, oh, I want to get rid of that. No, that shimmy shimmy will be pushing you out. And if it's really lopsided, it'll push you out and then you overcompensate it and your pot will get ugly. You want to go in from the top. I might be a little angled with how I present, but I am pushing down. It's all about pushing down. Look, here I go. Look at that, lovely ribbons, lovely ribbons. That tells you it's a wonderfully leather hard pot. Notice I'm going down, and what I'm really doing is I go down and I will kind of roll, if I need to the outside of the pot. You don't really want to roll to the inside. I will roll out, I will roll over and get rid of all that fun stuff. Now that I've come down a little bit, notice how, we're getting rid of that excess, that edge. See how it's coming through. See, we're getting the curve there. Beautiful. Once I've kind of brought it down and rolled over, I can then start to consider going in on the side. I've kind of created a guide where I need to be going. So now I'm kind of just pushing in, rolling over, going down a little, rolling up. I've got this huge chunk right there. That's nice where it is. Now, let's set the foot ring. I'm gonna grab my pin tool. I'm going to set the outside of my foot ring, and then I'll set the inside, making it thicker than I need. So if anything happens, I have room. Hedge your bets. Then I will then finish off the outside of my foot ring first. So once again, I'm going to be about pushing down, and then once I kind of get some height, I can roll over and form that curve. Here's the other thing. Notice how I kind of skirt where where I made the mark? I still want to hedge my bets and really work on getting that curve in there before I really start to attack and set my foot ring. So, you know, look, I'm going to kind of get a nice curve to it, have it nice and wonderful. Look at those ribbons of clay. It's great. Then I'm going to go in there and kind of set that edge. Notice how I still have my hands connected? It's a big help too. I will get the nice wall of my foot ring going, and I'm just going to go over and just try to make a nice sexy curve there. Okay, smooth over the outside, and then it'll be about going to the inside. But now I have the outside set, it's not going to get any thinner. Like that's it. Now I can go on the inside. I've seen way too many people kind of do the inside and then they do the outside, and then they make their foot ring really skinny and crazy because it got away from them. By setting your outside first, you've got it going on. Here's the other thing. I have my little sharper tool. I want to make my initial groove. I don't want my tool pointing outwards angle. I want it to be angled towards the center. Because when I come down and go over, I don't want the angle to be towards the foot ring where it could accidentally make it thinner. I want it facing towards the inside. I want to create a good groove. I see a lot of people just kind of go in there and make a tiny groove like that. No, we're going to go in, we're going to establish. I know I have like about 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to make a really good groove. A really good groove means that as I am clearing out the center of my foot ring, I have this guide, and that's going to keep me from, you know, making a mistake. And now I just have that center with its nice groove, which should be about level with where the outside wall is, and I can just clear that out. And this is all in real time. So this is, you know, I'm not speeding anything up here. Clear that all out, make that all nice. I'm just going across, and notice how I want to make, you know, the inside level with the outside. So it looks like I just popped that ring off. See how that is going? Yeah, I'm going to reuse the graphic. Why not? Okay. Tidy up a little, get it, you know, sometimes you can have a little raised. I can just roll it over if I want to make a nice rolled over. Like keep it crisp if I need it, but, you know, getting rid of that, smoothing it over. Of course, I'm going to get my lovely red rib here. Boom, a little water on it. And that'll help me to get rid of any trimming marks. And I always like to, you know, do it on my foot ring. So, look what we have here. I'm going to check it. I'm just sitting there and I'm feeling it, seeing how balanced it feels. Looks good, but, you know, just because I've done something a lot does not necessarily mean I'm perfect the first time, because as I'm foiling around with it, I'm like, it still feels a little thick right on that curve. I will go in and just trim it off. That's why sometimes it's good. You pick it up, you check it, trim a little more, make it all smooth and nice, and voila. You don't have to get it perfect the first time, you know. And then, look, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to cut this apart for you all. Let's see how we did. Look, that's pretty sweet. Should consider cutting things in half. Throw 4 pots, cut 1 in half. Trim 3 pots, cut 1 in half. You'll have 2 pots left over, and hopefully they will be really good pots. Oh, there's a bonus. Bonus! Yeah. This is the one we get all the time in every beginner package, and it's this like cure-all of a trimming tool, because we've got the flat side, and then we've got the like more curved side, and then we've got the pointy side, and those are nice, but if you don't know how to use them, and they can be bulky and weird. See, that one's supposed to be like when you go in and make a groove, and then using this like to curve up to get some sexiness, and then that one's kind of like my fan part, and that's all nice, and you can get used to that, but the package don't come with like instructions. So I have smaller kind of groove that fits that one little end, and then there's a little wider round that fits the other end to me, and then that one also kind of goes with that, but I just like the other tools better, and the fan tools I really like for getting nice curvy, beautiful sides. Other thing to think about, like the very angled ones, I like these for going in. Ooh, look, I have too much time on my hands, but going in for making grooves, for setting that inside mark, for also trimming, setting the side, and then also a little decorating and stuff. But that's kind of why I close. One's flat and one's kind of angled up, quite lovely. So depending on how, especially like depends on what you want to trim, how you want to trim will depend on what tools you kind of like. That one's got that really crazy, curved bit. That's also really good if I like do some slip, and then I want to make carve through like lines and stuff. That's great. But yeah, I also like if you want to get in tight. That one, see, these are kind of nice when you want to like curve up and really get rid of, and see how the movements, same thing with that one, going over, but notice that curve up. Think about that when you're trimming. And my favorite, the fan tool, that goes up, and you can also use the those little bent corners to get into places. You might only need one tool. I like a bunch. That's also for smaller, getting into tighter spaces. It's good for doing the center there. Okay, these I'm really showing because they're double-ended. So that's something to think about. One flat, and then the other side is the curve. It's really nice to have less tools. That one's the rounded one, nice and rounded, and then it's got the weird like pointy point in there, which goes for lots of things. Yeah. So it's just a matter of what you find, what floats your boats, and what kind of pots you make, depending on that. And that I can use wood tool to cut, to burnish, to make all nice. To smooth over. Wood knife's great for that. Pin tool, for scratching, putting in your foot ring as well. This is actually a beauty sponge, so it's supposed to be like smoothing. And then of course I use a rubber rib. You can also use a metal rib, but keep this in mind that as you're looking at tools with what you might want to get. All right, I hope that all helps. Go out there, get crazy, get creative, and thank you for watching.